This presentation is about using our Retention Center tool to support and retain students and better track our student outreach throughout the term. First, let's take a look at some factors that affect student retention. In a study done by Michael Herbert of Bemidji State University investigating student satisfaction and retention, he found that, through student surveys, the number one factor, based on importance to students and their satisfaction with the course, was that faculty are responsive to student needs. This was followed by, in order of importance, the quality of online instruction being excellent, and that faculty provide timely feedback about student progress. The same study also found that students who were more satisfied with their course were more likely to successfully complete the course. Therefore, we can consider overall satisfaction with the course itself a factor in student retention. Erin Hyman of West Coast University adds to the research on this topic in her qualitative study to examine the responses of a panel of 20 experts. The findings of this study show that the most frequent theme identified as having an impact on student retention were that students receive adequate and ongoing support from institutions in all areas, of course including faculty. This was followed by instructor response time and ongoing presence and activity in online courses. Here again, we see the impact that individual instructors have on student retention through the support they provide and their active engagement in the course. Further, Kimberly Bird of Liberty University was able to show a correlation between the level of instructor outreach and student failure rates using data from their own student body. In her analysis, it was found that students receiving faculty outreach were 9% less likely to fail. Students were less likely to withdraw from a course where faculty actively outreached. Here again, we see the impact that instructors have on student retention through their support. Addressing these retention factors. Based on the research done over the past decade, we can see some trends emerge, and this will allow us to formulate various approaches to increasing our student retention one course at a time. We know that these are major factors influencing student retention: responding to students' needs, supporting students throughout the course, providing timely feedback to students on their progress, not just on individual assignments, and instructor engagement and activity in the class. We also know that the data support better outcomes for students who receive more outreach from their instructors. In short, we most certainly do make a difference. We can now explore how to use the Retention Center as a tool to improve student retention. This tool is best applied to factors 1 and 3, but of course the last, instructor engagement and activity in the course is also important, and that might come up in other areas of instructor activity like our announcements and discussion boards. But for the purposes of this presentation, we'll mostly focus on factors 1 through 3. So some basics of the Retention Center. The Retention Center allows us to quickly identify students who are struggling based on 4 criteria: a missed deadline, a grade alert, an activity alert, and an access alert. From our Retention Center homepage, you will see students identified as at risk in any of these categories. From here, you can choose to monitor a student, and you can email the student directly from the Retention Center as well. So let's take a look at using the Retention Center. First, to access the Retention Center, from your individual course, you go under Course Management, choose Evaluation, and then click on the Retention Center link. That will bring you to your Retention Center homepage, and that will show you your list of at-risk students. And these are students who have met the criteria for being at risk in any one of the 4 categories: missed deadlines, grade alert, activity alert, and access alert. This gives a bird's eye view of which students are vulnerable and may be in need of additional support and ongoing monitoring. You can see that the red dot will show which area the student has fallen behind in, whether it's the access alert, a low grade, a missed deadline, or low activity in the course. You can also use the Retention Center to email students quickly and efficiently, simply by clicking on their name, and it will bring you to their individual screen where you can choose the Notify button circled here. You can see that you can choose to email the student, the observer, which is what we call our advisors, and students and the observer. Again, that refers to our advisors here at SNU. And this will be recorded in the notification history for that student. And we can see that here in this screenshot. All emails from the retention center are saved, so you can easily track the communication you've had with the student. This has the added benefit that our deans and our team leads can also see our outreach attempts. You can also use this area, the notification history, to add notes. You can see this circled in yellow here to the right-hand side. And that might be where you want to include any follow-up you've heard from the student, any follow-up you've had from the student advisor, or any information you've gathered about the student in your work with them. Monitoring students is another great feature of the Retention Center. This feature allows instructors to quickly look at a student's performance and risk factors for students that you want to keep a particular eye on. You can see that the monitored students are starred. You can choose to star them, and they will show up on the right-hand side of your Retention Center homepage. And you'll be able to see their progress, their last access, their activity in the course, and their grade in the course, and if they've missed any deadlines. Reasons you might want to choose to monitor a student. Perhaps a red flag was identified in the icebreaker, maybe that they just recently had a baby or they've had trouble with the subject matter in the past. The student shows problems with their writing skills early on. That might be another reason to monitor a student. A student missing an assignment would certainly be a reason you might want to choose to monitor them. A student registers late for class or for any third-party vendor software that your class happens to use and is critical for success in the course. Or if they have any other alert in the Retention Center, such as an access alert, not logging into the class for more than 5 days, for instance. Here are some tips for making the most of the Retention Center. Be sure to insert due dates for critical assignments, so those missed deadlines can be captured by the Retention Center. Some courses have the deadlines already set up in the Grade Center and some do not. For anyone whose course does not have a grade set up in the Grade Center, you can simply add it by editing that column, inputting the due date, and then the Retention Center will reuse that to determine if a deadline has been missed by any student. Always personalize emails from the Retention Center in the subject line and in the body. We want to use the same approach to our communication with students when we email them from here as if we were emailing them from anywhere else. And that is, supportive language, warm tone, and overall just being clear and concise with your words. You want to include the student name and ID number in email for advisor reference. So this is when you're going to copy an advisor on an email. You want to make sure that they are able to see what student you're referring to and the student ID number so they can easily look up that student's information. All emails from the Retention Center, just like from the Grade Center, are blind copy. So both student and advisor will be blind copied on the email, so they will not see each other's email addresses when they receive the email from you. So you'll have to let them know that they're both being copied on the email. You can also use the Retention Center just as your central point of regular communication with your most at-risk students to remind them of their progress and provide continual support. This is a great way to keep track of students that need ongoing support throughout the term. You can get a very clear picture of how often you've communicated with them, and through your notes, you can see the progress that they've made as a result of your outreach. So now let's take a look at the Retention Center in action. So here we are. This happens to be a team shell, but we'll use this as an example to show how the Retention Center works. Now this is the typical homepage for a course. It brings you to your announcement page. And if you see on the left-hand side of your course is our navigation panel. And if you go under Course Management, you'll see an evaluation choice. And you click on that, and it opens up these choices here, and you can simply click on Retention Center. And this will bring you to the Retention Center just for this course. And now you can see that it's listing my at-risk students, and it's telling me by these red dots which areas they qualify as at-risk in. So these students with the dots have missed a deadline, and these dots indicate that these students have not accessed the course in more than so many days. So you'll see also on the right-hand side that I have 2 students in this class that I'm monitoring, and they are starred yellow. If I would like to monitor another student, I can simply click on their name. So let's take this student, for example. And I might want to monitor her. I just click on the monitor button. And then when I go back to my Retention Center homepage, she will show up on that same right-hand section. And when I'm in the student's individual page, you'll notice that we have our notify button where we can email her, her advisor, or both her and her advisor. We also see her missed deadlines, any grade alerts, any activity alert, and any access alert. In this case, we see that she's missed one deadline, she doesn't have any grade alert, no activity alert, and she hasn't logged in more than 8 days, and that's letting us know that. So we can get a very quick picture of the student's activity in the course and their performance in the course just from this page right here. Now let's try and add a note here. This note could be anything, perhaps the student to let you know that they were going to be traveling for work and needed to turn in a paper late. So you could make that note or even copy paste the email from the student right here. So I'd say student traveling needs to turn in paper late. And then click save. And you'll see that that gets housed in the notification history right here. You'll also see that if we send out an email to the student, that it will also save in the same area. So we'll just send this out as a test. And you would write in here the body of the email. Hi, Jacqueline. This is, our purposes, we're just going to write this is just a test. But you would put in whatever content you want to express to the student, whether it's a worry about a struggling, a low grade, or a missed deadline, or concern about their writing, perhaps. Whatever you would want to write, you would put it in this section of the email, just as you would from the Grade Center, just as you would from your own email. And then always be sure to sign off with your own name. Just make it very personalized, very open, so the student feels that they can freely communicate with you. And then when you click submit, you'll see that that is also saved under your notification history. In both notes and emails are timestamped and dated. So you can get a very, very clear picture of all of your outreach to the student just by coming to this one page. Now if we go back to our Retention Center homepage, you'll see that she's been added to my list of students that I'm monitoring. And we can go in and look at some other students that I'm already monitoring. And we can see they also have saved notifications through emails and through notes that I've made. And at any time, if you find that you don't need to monitor a student any longer, perhaps they've caught up and they're no longer struggling and you think they're on a great path and they probably don't need as much ongoing support as they did maybe earlier in the term, you can simply take them off and then you click on that little star and then they're no longer on your monitor list. So you can change this list as needed throughout the term. You don't want to have too many students on here, then it will not be as useful a tool. So just the ones that you're very concerned about for that time. There's one other thing that you'll want to know about the Retention Center, and that's the Customize feature. Customize lets you change the criteria for any one of these four categories. Now, for example, you might want to change your default grade rule to some other grade level. Perhaps any student that is getting below an 80% is a student that you want to work with and have show up in your Retention Center. Here's how you could edit that. So under Rule Criteria, you see Set Grade Value, grade is below. You can just simply change that to 80%. And then click Submit. And you'll see that that now shows up, that is our new criteria. A missed deadline rule is another one you can edit. You can edit all of these, but I'll show you how to edit this one as it might be helpful. You can monitor all course deadlines. So this will say any one deadline, for instance, that a student misses, we'll put them in the Retention Center. You could also have it be any specific deadline. So you could have it be any one milestone in your course, any one paper, any one discussion board. And you can add as many of these as you want. If you want to have a column for each deadline, each separate deadline, you can have those be separate in your Retention Center homepage. So you'll see that this drop-down choice will give you all of them. There's only one assignment listed in this course since it's a team shell, but your course will have many to choose from, so you can make as many of these rules as you want. And click Submit once you choose it. So to add rules, if you wanted to add more than one missed deadline for separate assignments, you just go to Create Rule, and you choose Create Missed Deadline Rule. And all the same criteria will pop up. You can put the name here. You might say Final Paper, for instance, if you want to have that separated from other missed deadlines. Monitor specific deadline, and then you would go to your course item drop-down choices and choose the specific one. And once you choose the one you want, you can click Submit. And provide the number of days. So usually if it's any amount late, if it's just 1 minute after your deadline, if that's the criteria you want, you might put in 0, which is usually the case for most of us. If anything's late, we want to know about it, but you can change that to be any number of days that's appropriate for your class. And you click Submit, and it will save. So now you'll see that we have two. These are both missed deadline criteria, but they have different names, so you know which deadline each of them is looking for. Another one you might want to adjust is the default course access rule. As you can see here, it tells you the criteria is last accessed more than 3 days ago. You can change that to any number of days that you like. The default is 5 days. I set it to 3 days in this course, but perhaps I want to change it to 4 days. So you just change the number right there, and then click Submit, and it's saved. So now if we go back to our Retention Center homepage, we'll see that now we can access the deadlines, the grade alert, the activity alert, and the access alert, and still see all the same things we had. Now the criteria is just changed. So the Retention Center provides us a fantastic tool to work with outside of the Grade Center for emailing, keeping notes on students, and keeping our team leads abreast of the outreach that we're doing. The monitoring feature helps us quickly see which students we want to provide ongoing support to and track if their progress is improving enough that we no longer need to monitor them. We can change this as needed. If you have any questions about this tool or how to make it work best for your class, please contact me, Nicole Soto with SNU. It's n.soto@snhu.edu, and I'd be more than happy to help walk you through it. Thank you.